Someone can love you deeply and still be afraid to show it. They can feel something real for you and still remain quiet. They can care more than they admit, think about you more than they reveal, miss you more than they confess, and still act as if their heart is under control. This is what makes hidden love so confusing. You expect love to move forward. You expect it to speak. You expect it to reach for you, choose you, reassure you, and make itself known. So when someone holds back, you may start questioning everything. You may think, if they loved me, they would say it. If they cared, they would show it. If I mattered, they would not make me wonder. But not everyone knows how to express what they feel. For some people, deep love does not feel simple. It feels dangerous. It feels exposing. It feels like standing in front of someone with no armor, hoping they will not use the truth against them. And when a person has spent years protecting their heart, love can feel less like comfort and more like risk, so they hide it. Not because it is not there, not because you imagine the connection, not because your presence means nothing to them. Sometimes they hide love because the feeling is stronger than their courage. Sometimes they stay quiet because speaking would make everything too real. Sometimes they act distant because being honest would reveal how deeply affected they are by you. This is why you must look deeper than words, because some people say very little but feel everything. Some people stand far away but carry you inside them. Some people love in silence because they are still afraid of what love will ask them to become. When someone loves you deeply, showing that love means showing the part of themselves they usually protect. It means letting you see where they are soft. It means admitting that your presence matters, that your absence hurts, that your words can reach them, and that your energy can change the way they feel inside. For a guarded person, this is terrifying. They may know how to be strong. They may know how to appear calm, independent, untouchable. They may know how to keep conversations light, how to hide behind humor, how to pretend nothing affects them too deeply. But love removes the mask. Love reaches behind the image they show the world and touches the truth they are not used to revealing. And that truth makes them feel exposed. Because vulnerability feels like risk. It feels like giving someone access to the places where they can be hurt. It feels like losing control over the heart they worked so hard to defend. So instead of saying, "I love you," they hold back. Instead of moving closer, they hesitate. Instead of showing you the depth of what they feel, they give you small pieces and hope you understand the rest. But hidden vulnerability still leaves signs. You may see it in the way they soften around you, then quickly pull themselves together. You may feel it in the silence after a meaningful moment. You may notice how they become careful when the conversation gets too real, not because they feel nothing, but because they feel too much and do not know how to stand openly inside it. They are not only hiding love from you, they are hiding from the version of themselves that love brings to the surface. Someone who loves you deeply may be afraid to show it because rejection would not feel small to them. It would not feel like a simple disappointment. It would feel like exposure, followed by pain. It would feel like opening the most guarded part of themselves and realizing it was not safe there. So they protect themselves before anything can happen. They may act calm. They may act distant. They may even act as if they are not that affected by you. But underneath that control, there can be a quiet fear. What if I show what I feel and it is not returned? What if I care more? What if I become vulnerable and lose them anyway? That fear can make a person hide love behind hesitation. They wait for signs. They study your reactions. They test the emotional ground before stepping forward. They may come close when they feel safe, then pull back when the risk feels too real. Not because their feelings disappeared, but because the possibility of being rejected becomes louder than their courage. This is why they may seem confusing. One moment you feel their warmth. The next moment they become careful. One moment their eyes say more than their words. The next moment they act like nothing happened. They are trying to love without risking too much, but deep love cannot be shown fully from behind a wall. And still, the fear remains. Because to admit love is to admit need. To admit care is to admit that someone has power over your inner world. To say, "You matter to me," is also to risk hearing silence in return. So they hide what they feel, not because you are easy to lose, but because losing you after being honest would hurt more than they know how to handle. Someone who loves you deeply but is afraid to show it often hides behind silence, not because there is nothing to say, but because there is too much. Their heart may be full of emotions, thoughts, memories, fears, and unspoken words, yet when the moment comes to express them, they become quiet. Silence becomes their shield. They may want to tell you that you matter. They may want to say that they miss you, that they think about you, that your presence affects them more than they expected. But the words feel dangerous. Once spoken, they cannot be taken back. Once revealed, the feeling becomes real. And for someone who is afraid of emotional exposure, that can feel overwhelming. So instead of confessing, they hold it in. They answer carefully. They keep things vague. They avoid the conversation that would reveal too much. They may watch you from a distance, care in small ways, remember details, feel everything internally, but still struggle to say the words you are waiting to hear. And this can hurt, because from your side, silence can feel like indifference. It can make you wonder whether you imagined the connection. It can make you feel alone in something that once felt mutual. But sometimes silence is not proof that love is absent. Sometimes silence is proof that love has reached a place they do not know how to speak from. Hidden love does not always announce itself. Sometimes it appears in the pause before they leave, in the way they come back without explaining why, in the way they remember what matters to you, in the way their energy changes when you become distant. They may not say it, but love that is buried inside someone still presses against the surface. Someone who loves you deeply may not always say what their heart is carrying, but their actions begin to speak in places where their words fail. They may avoid confession. They may stay emotionally controlled. They may pretend they are not as affected as they truly are. But love has a way of escaping through the smallest details. It shows in what they notice. They remember things you mentioned once. They sense when your mood changes. They ask questions that seem casual but carry concern underneath. They pay attention to your silence, your tone, your distance, your happiness. Even when they try to seem calm, their awareness gives them away. Because someone who feels nothing does not watch you that closely. They may protect you quietly. They may check on you indirectly. They may become restless when they feel you pulling away. They may act unaffected, but still make choices that reveal you matter. Their love may not come as a grand confession, but it appears in the way they cannot fully ignore your emotional world. This is the language of a guarded heart. A guarded person may struggle to say, "I love you," but they may show it by remembering what hurts you, by softening when you are vulnerable, by becoming careful with you in moments where they are careless with others, by returning when they told themselves they should stay away. Still, actions must be seen clearly. Hidden love is not the same as empty inconsistency. Real care leaves warmth, concern, and emotional presence. It may be quiet, but it is not careless. It may be afraid, but it is not cruel. So look at what their words avoid, but their behavior reveals. Sometimes the heart speaks most honestly through the things a person does without realizing they are confessing. Someone who loves you deeply may pull away at the exact moment you expect them to come closer. And this is what makes it so painful. Just when the connection feels real, just when the emotions become warmer, just when you begin to feel that something is finally opening between you, they suddenly create distance. You may think the feeling disappeared, but sometimes it became too strong. For a person who is afraid to show love, closeness can feel like losing control. The more they feel, the more exposed they become. The more you matter, the more they realize they can be hurt. And instead of admitting this, instead of saying, "I am scared of how much I feel for you," they step back. Distance becomes their way of breathing. They may become quiet after a deep conversation. They may disappear after a moment of tenderness. They may act colder after showing warmth. Not because the warmth was fake, but because it was real enough to frighten them. This is the push and pull of hidden love. They move toward you when their heart wins. They move away when fear takes over. They want connection, but they fear what connection demands. They want to be close, but they are not sure they can survive being that open. So do not always mistake their retreat for absence of feeling. Sometimes people run not from what is empty, but from what is powerful. Sometimes they step away from the very person who touches them most deeply, because being near that person makes it impossible to pretend they are unaffected. They pull away because the love is becoming visible, and visibility is what scares them. Someone who loves you deeply may be afraid to show it because love makes them feel less in control. Before you, they may have known how to manage themselves. They knew how to stay calm, how to stay detached, how to keep people at a safe distance. They knew how to protect their emotions by never letting anyone get too close. Then you became important, and suddenly their inner world started reacting to you. Your silence affected them, your warmth softened them, your distance made them restless, your attention gave them peace. They began to realize that you were no longer just someone they liked. You were someone who had the power to move something inside them. That is frightening for someone who is used to emotional control. So they hide the love, they minimize it, they act casual. They pretend they can take you or leave you, when the truth is, your presence has already reached them more deeply than they want to admit. Because showing love would mean admitting they are affected. It would mean admitting that they care about your response. It would mean admitting that losing you would hurt. It would mean admitting that their heart is not as untouchable as they tried to believe. And some people would rather look distant than feel powerless. So they keep the feeling contained. They hold back the words. They control the expression. They may love you deeply, but they are still fighting the fear of what that love reveals about them. They are not only afraid of you knowing the truth, they are afraid of knowing how much truth there is. Someone can love you deeply and still not know how to love in a healthy way. They may feel everything, but lack the emotional tools to express it clearly. They may care about you, but not know how to create safety. They may want closeness, but only know how to protect themselves through distance. This is often not about the absence of love. It is about what they learnt before you. Maybe they were taught that emotions make you weak. Maybe they opened their heart once and were punished for it. Maybe love, in their past, came with abandonment, betrayal, criticism, or pain. So now, when real love appears, their heart recognizes it, but their nervous system does not know how to trust it. They want the warmth, but they fear the risk. They may love you, but still become defensive when things get serious. They may miss you, but still struggle to reach out. They may want to stay, but still feel the instinct to run when vulnerability gets too close. And this is where love becomes complicated, because loving someone is not the same as knowing how to love them well. Feelings can be real, but expression can be wounded. Care can be deep, but behavior can still be confusing. Their heart may be sincere, but sincerity alone does not always create emotional safety. So understand this carefully. Their fear may explain their distance, but it does not mean you must live inside uncertainty forever. Their wounds may explain why they hide love, but they still have to learn how to show up with honesty, because deep love is not only something a person feels, it is something they must learn how to hold without hurting the person they are afraid to lose. There is a difference between someone who loves you but is afraid to show it and someone who simply does not care. And if you do not understand that difference, you can either give too much meaning to emptiness or dismiss something real just because it is quiet. Indifference feels empty. When someone is indifferent, there is no emotional weight behind their silence, no warmth in their attention, no care in their distance, no inner conflict, no softness when you pull away. They do not react to your absence because your presence was never deeply rooted inside them. But hidden love feels different. It may be silent, but the silence has tension. It may be distant, but the distance still carries awareness. They may not say much, but they notice more than they admit. They may act controlled, but something in them shifts when you become unreachable. Their energy gives away what their words are trying to hide. Hidden love still responds to you. It remembers, it protects, it worries, it watches, it softens, it becomes restless when the bond feels threatened. It may not always move forward with courage, but it does not feel cold and lifeless. That is the difference. Indifference does not struggle with losing you. Hidden love does. Indifference leaves without emotional trace. Hidden love steps back, but still feels the pull. Indifference forgets easily. Hidden love tries to forget and fails quietly. But you must be honest with yourself. Do not call neglect hidden love. Do not call cruelty fear. Do not call emotional absence depth. Real hidden love may be afraid, but it still carries care. It may be guarded, but it does not feel empty. If someone loves you deeply, but is afraid to show it, you will feel the conflict. Not just in what they say, but in everything they cannot fully hide. Someone who loves you deeply, but is afraid to show it, may never say everything you wish they would say. They may hold back the confession. They may hide behind silence. They may step away when the feeling becomes too visible. But deep love never stays completely invisible. It leaves signs. It appears in the way they remember you, in the way they become careful with your heart, even when they cannot fully open their own, in the way your absence unsettles them, in the way their energy changes when you pull away, in the way they try to act distant, but still cannot become indifferent, because love has a way of revealing itself through the cracks. A guarded person can control their words. They can control how much they admit. They can control the distance they keep. But they cannot always control the way their heart reacts to you. They cannot always hide the softness in their eyes, the pause before goodbye, the concern beneath a simple question, or the quiet return after they told themselves they should stay away. Still, hidden love must eventually become honest love, because feelings that are never expressed can hurt both people. Love that stays buried can turn into confusion. Care that never becomes clarity can leave someone waiting in pain. So yes, their love may be real. Yes, their fear may explain the silence. But love cannot live forever in hiding and still expect to be understood. The final truth is this: someone who loves you deeply may be afraid to show it, but they will still reveal it in ways they cannot fully control. They may not speak loudly, but something in them will always respond to you. And if that love is meant to grow, one day it will have to become brave enough to stop hiding.